A quick story. My grandmother was a missionary in the church that um, I belonged to when I was a child. And in the church, we had missionary circles, and these were just band of women who did mission work. But you had two specifically women that I remember. One, she was very quiet, always wore white, always had her little white hat on, didn't say a lot. She was at church every time we were there. She spoke to everyone, she was nice to everyone, and just a pleasant person. The second missionary was what we would have called a district missionary, and basically what she would do is teach the young women and the protocols of the tradition of the church that we were in. And she was the one that everybody would call for prayer, and she was always the one at every program who stood up and spoke and was kind of lifted up in the church as a person of good reputation and a godly woman. Well, the time came along when, as both women got older, both were in the hospital at the same time, that being the quiet little missionary and the missionary who everybody looked up to. Well, that Sunday I followed my grandmother to the hospital, and so as she was doing her mission work, we went to the first floor, and on the first floor was the little quiet missionary, and I went in with my grandmother. And so she went in to pray, and it was amazing. Even though this little mother was out of her mind, the only thing she was saying, "Jesus, I love you. Oh, Jesus, I love you. Jesus, I love you." And we prayed and we came out. And so up on the third floor, the missionary who everybody was so thrilled about was on the third floor. And as we got off the elevator, you could just hear, as we drew closer to this room, just cussing and screaming and hollering. And I assumed my grandmother knew who it was, so when we got to the door, she told me to just stand up against the wall and that she would come back and that she would get me after she goes into the room. As she goes into the room, she has, as the door opened, I can just hear this cussing, and it was cussing you would even hear out of a sailor. And she goes into the room and she comes back out and she looks at me and she simply says, "Baby, what's in you will come out." I hope this resonated with some of you, and for those of you who it didn't resonate with, take what you need and leave the rest. Be well.